show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Bass in your face. Bass in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions. But not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I also have a much smaller YouTube channel called Latina Diaspora, where I talk about issues regarding Latinos in the United States. The link to my channel is in the description. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And the subscriber mode has been enabled. What that means is if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment or chat, you will need to subscribe to the channel. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel. Whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined, I really appreciate your love and continued support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, as well as those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So, what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so already, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notifications to all. So, therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. So, tonight we're going to have another episode of Open Discussion. What does that mean? That means I will be sharing with you, discussing my point of view regarding several topics. You, as the audience, will have an opportunity to comment regarding each topic which I will be discussing. Also, you will have the opportunity, if you wish, to indicate which topics you want me to discuss, and I will do my best to comply. Of course, if I don't know too much about the topic, I will be transparent and admit so accordingly. So, with that being said, uh, let's go with the first topic, which is basically next week's schedule. Now, due to the fact that I have some ongoing engagement, commitments, which I need to keep, the schedule is going to be a little different. Um, of course, I'm going to do a live on Sunday night at 10:15 a.m. p.m. Sorry, and then I will do another live on my main channel on Wednesday at 10:30, and then I will do another stream on this channel. I think it's going to be 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I just have to wait and see. And at some point, most likely Thursday, I'll do another stream regarding um, my other channel. So So hopefully by the following week, I'll be um, return to a more regular schedule. Um, Now, I see here we have, excuse me, good evening, Georgia. How are you doing today? Thank you very much for stopping by. So tonight we're having another episode of Open Discussions. Okay. Now, of course, the next thing I'm going to be talking about is mental health issues. Uh, I will continue to discuss mental health issues. Of course, I'm going to try to discuss different topics. Okay. And the reason why I'm focusing on mental health issue is that we have uh, individuals who have had mental health issues. We have people who are narcissistic. We have people who are vain. We have people who are, for whatever reason, are unable to accept accountability for their actions. So I will be sharing my views on those topics. Of course, bear in mind, I would not mention any specific individual, largely due to the fact that I don't want to give any of the ops any shine. And of course, uh, we all know what happens when you're focusing on them. They get so defensive. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the ops can dish it out, but they can't take it. Okay, so that's just cries of incel energy. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is I will be discussing more Christian topics. Okay. Um, I've dealt with salvation. I have dealt with perseverance. I've dealt with prayer. I also dealt with how to properly give a testimony. So I will be sharing different topics. I think I'm thinking about like how to read scripture. Okay, because the problem is there are certain people that love to take scripture and take it out of context. Okay, well those are interesting books of the Old Testament. So and of course, whenever I do discuss Christian topics, I want it to be understood that I in no way, shape, or form trying to compel anyone to embrace Christianity. Okay. What I normally ask that those of you who do not believe in Christianity or what have you, when I do discuss those topics, is try to keep an open mind to it and also try to be mindful of the fact that I am not trying to force anyone to embrace Christianity or what's my definition of Christianity. What I'm just asking you is just please bear in mind that I'm sharing information and hopefully you will be receptive to it. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is stop the trolls of attention. One thing that's common, whether it be trolls or ops or what have you, is that they crave attention. They absolutely, positively crave attention. And what they're looking for is basically anyone to give a response regarding their words, regarding their actions. Okay. So what happens is, let me just see what this comment here. You know what, Jojo? The fact of the matter is, if everyone had embraced Christianity, I mean, truly embrace it, not be superficial, this would be a much better world. It will. I mean, it will eventually get to that point, but it's going to take the return of Jesus to do that. And let's see, there's another. Jesus said to the Sermon on the Mount, "Blessed are those who are the peacemakers." Needless to say, I still love it all, whether they accept or reject. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the proper way to look at it. One thing we do have to bear in mind is that you know we are trying to live in a narrative that is contrary to what the world accepts and what the world believes. Okay, because the world is basically concentrated on self and revenge and things of that nature, and fulfilling all the desires of the flesh. We in our part, in our part, we try to live according to the spirit. Okay, but going back to stopping the trolls. The worst, I mean, the best way to strike back at a troll that craves attention is to not give them attention. Okay, because what happens is it bothers them. Right? I mean, it really bothers them because one thing that the trolls try to do is they try to say anything or do anything which will create attention for themselves. Okay. So what they will do is they will paint narratives, they will, which are false. One thing I have noticed regarding that the largest critics are the ones that don't know anything about us. Okay, because they're trying to create a false narrative. Okay, which is basically that we are not who we claim to be, that we are hypocritical, that you know that our ops can do no wrong, which we know that's not true. But that is the narrative that they're trying to illustrate. Okay. And one thing I've noticed that when you engage with the trolls or the ops, going back and forth with them, what you're doing is you're enabling them to continue with their toxic behavior. We have seen it here. In fact, we have discussed it amongst ourselves on Discord um, regarding the behavior of certain individuals, which will remain nameless, that try to, paint narratives which are false regarding certain individuals within our circles. Okay. But one thing we have to bear in mind is that hurt people hurt people. And what do I mean by that? That means anyone that has any untreated trauma, anyone that's been disappointed, anyone that has not been able to recover regarding past slights or injuries or things of that nature. So as a result, what that does is they manifest themselves as bitter, lonely, desperate, angry people. Okay. Yep, that is so true. Look, and when look all throughout centuries, okay, people have been trying to self-improve without the need of God. And the fact of the matter is, only Jesus can change and transform a human being. Okay, only Jesus can, with the power of the Holy Spirit, bring life to someone that's spiritually dead. You know what? I believe that is the case regarding millions of souls throughout the centuries. Okay. The reality, Georgia, is that we have come to realize the fact that we cannot improve ourselves without the help of Christ. That's reality. Okay. And that could be troublesome to some people because that means is guess what? They have to start to take accountability for their actions. Okay. And we all know that for certain individuals, I mean, for them to take accountability for their actions, accountability is like kryptonite. It is a serious weakness that certain individuals have. Okay, okay, just get okay, just get a moment. All right. So, um, and one thing you must bear in mind also that until we actually know Christ, we're all spiritually dead. Okay, okay. We may be alive physically, but spiritually dead because we are dead in sin. Okay. Now, the next thing, yep, that's what we all need to do. We all need to repent. Now, one thing I will be doing is more, yep, it is a trigger word, okay? And the reason why that is the case, because guess what? That implies there's a need to take of a thing called accountability. It calls to repentance. It calls to change. It calls to changing one way of dealing with things. It goes to changing what life is. And of course, we can be extremely stubborn when it comes to change. People don't like change. It okay. Yes, and you know what? And you know why that is the case? Because when you are repenting, you're letting go of sin. You're letting go of the desire of the flesh. You're letting go those things that separate you from God. So of course, so when you do repent and then you truly turn away from sin, um, it is like a huge weight being lifted off your back. Now, as I said it before, I will be doing more impromptu streams. I think the best night to do it will probably be a Saturday. Um, it just my thing is is how to properly package it, so to speak. Um, I think just basically just basically just to do chill strings, where I don't have uh, any notes prepared, but I do have certain things to discuss. Okay. Um, I'll probably be doing another impromptu stream. Let's see, today is the 20th. I'll probably do it around the 4th of July weekend. Okay. Now, one topic that I do plan to discuss, I'm just trying to think about what while we probably time is regarding the myths regarding single moms. Okay. Now I know that there's been a lot chatter regarding single moms. There's been a lot of content created on single moms. A lot of it has to do with the fact that men should not date single moms for because many times it is perceived they have outrageous expectations, and also the fact of the matter is um, it does bring about certain challenges. So what I plan to do is try to address those myths, but what I would like to do is have at least one single mom on the panel. So therefore, she can share with me what are some of the myths. Okay, because one thing we have to understand that not all single moms are the same. There are some women who became single moms because their husband died, thus making them single moms. And then, oh, okay, let me try. Okay, let me try to. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, I just put the link again. Hopefully that will take care of that. Um, now, look in all. Okay, I see here we have a guest. So let me just state for the record: the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host on the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your right to your image. Some of the views that people hold may be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now we're going to bring in our guest. Good evening, Georgia.
Hey, good evening, Jose.
So how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing wonderfully well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. I'm just that today has been a very busy day and I'm a little bit tired. And it's like, so it's not, I mean, it's a little rare for me to do a stream um, at 8 o'clock your time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Works.
it's Saturday. Yeah, but it's Friday night and I don't have to go to work until Monday, so I get to sleep a little later.
That's nice to hear. I mean, hard work pays off, so you deserve the 2-day staycation, so to speak.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to be going on vacation soon. So I'm going to be taking the last 2 weeks of July.
Mm.
So what is on your mind?
Sorry, I was drinking some water since I just returned from my walk.
Okay.
But what really prompted me to come up here was what you said regarding single mothers. And I'd love to, quickly share my 2 cents on that matter.
Sure, go ahead.
So I like to say this. Shout out to the single moms. Much love to the single moms. Jesus loves you, and I love you too. So when it comes to that complicated and honestly polarizing issue of the single moms, what I am going to first off say is that the Lord can also bring the right man to a single mom, because at the end of the day, each case is different. Her circumstances are different. There are always different reasons for why she may have ended up in that position.
Mhm.
But if there is a single mom who ends up getting blessed with another man, like a righteous, godly man who comes into the picture and truly becomes like a fulfilling fatherly figure, then wonderful. That was meant to be. And cases like that do exist. and they do happen. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if you're still breathing, the Lord still wants to redeem you. Even if you were like a single mom who made some mistakes, and those mistakes also caused you to end up in the position you're in. But the thing is that it can all be turned around if she also softens her heart too. And then many miracles can be worked out in the process. And wouldn't that be just one splendid blessing?
Yes.
So therefore, that would be wonderful. Now, I would say it wouldn't be for me. I'm not at all called for that. But if there is another man who is led and called for that kind of role, then wonderful, because you do have some wonderful stepfathers who are, I hate to say it, but are even doing a better job than the biological father. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very fair when in reasonable, like when it just comes to, the complex issue of single motherhood. But also, like what I will say is that, that I will not deny there being cases where, you have like just a unreasonable single mom who is also perpetuating that cycle of single motherhood and is not letting like the child see the father because of some friction between the two, but yet the biological father wants to be in the life of the child and is, duking it out in the family court. You do have cases like that, and you do have the mothers who are just being unreasonable and who are honestly being abrasive and just foolish. That is very much a thing. There's no doubt about that. I don't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that it's not always like that. I mean, we do actually have to look at, you have to look at the entire picture and start extrapolating from everything that you see in this complex dynamic and just come up with some reasonable conclusions. So that's what I did. Like, I don't deny that you have some problematic single moms, but at the same time, you have some wonderful single moms who would be happy to have a man in the mix and have that entire dynamic blessed, because it does happen.
Yeah.
Your turn.
It's just that we're living in the day, and if you take a look at social media today, there are a lot of content creators, mainly men, that warn men not to pursue single moms due to the fact that, first of all, their expectations are way out there. Also, regarding the fact that there's issues regarding trying to discipline children. Um, and of course, the children will come, will say, "Well, you're not my dad," okay, and things of that nature. But one thing we have to bear in mind: not all single moms are the same. Not everyone becomes a single mom with the same set of circumstances. While there are some women that make poor choices regarding um, giving a man the highest honor by bearing a child. But and let's keep it real, there's some irresponsible males. But the fact of the matter is, there are great single moms that have done an outstanding job. And so basically, there are some great single moms. There are single moms that are not perfect, but they're trying, their best to raise their children properly. And then you have some single moms that are irresponsible.
Exactly. And neither one of us, on this panel are denying the fact that you do have some problematic single moms out there too.
Yeah.
Yes, and then also, and then there are times where, hey, it is not always easy, filling in the role as a stepfather, though, because I will say to this to the men, since I can speak for us men, is that don't expect her to put you first at all, especially in the beginning stages. Don't take it personal when she's doing that in the beginning stages, because she is still getting to know you. You guys are only dating. That's not even your wife just yet. And two, she is going to prioritize her children over you, because those are kids that she had once carried for 9 months. She knows her babies very well, knows them better than she even knows you. So never take it personal. But then, however, once you really start to illustrate your manhood and masculine responsibilities, she'll recognize that, respect you, and even submit to you, as long as you submit to the Lord too. She'll see that.
Yeah.
And then that's where you will also become priority as well. That's how it works.
And also, yes, also we must understand that a responsible woman, whether it be single or whether it be with children, they should try to do a very careful job of vetting a man.
Mhm.
Okay, particularly if she has children, because she don't want the situation where she exposes her children to men who are unhealthy.
Right.
Okay, because that can open up situations of child abuse or even um, exploitation in a certain way.
I agree. And even when it comes to her, yes, in that case, she is really going to have to also guard her own heart and really, really cross examine the men that she's going to bring around. Because, yes, deep down, she would love for her kids to have some kind of fatherly figure, especially if she has a son and the biological father is just absent. She's going to want, the son to have some kind of masculine figure around, though, because clearly we also see that it's not really a good thing if we see that there's been all these men who grew up without their dads, because we already know the implications behind that. And she probably knows that too. But the thing is that she should really have her guard up and think and act sensibly too. Sometimes she does, and sometimes she doesn't.
Yes, that is very true. That is very true. So, and one thing, and again, one thing that men need to understand is that just like you're trying to get to, you should be trying to vet the woman. The woman should be trying to vet the man properly, make sure that they both share similar values. It should
Yep.
not be based on something that's carnal, like the D, so to speak, or he's cute, or he's handsome, or he has a lot of money and things of that nature, but yet devoid of any moral compass.
That's right. Vetting is key when it comes to that. Emotional and spiritual vetting are key. And she should apply that. And that also would mean don't sleep with him at all. You don't know that man's spiritual state, and if he's that spiritually dead, it's going to make you spiritually dead too in the process, and vice versa.
Yes. And
So
the fact of the matter, when you engage in intercourse, I mean, it does create a certain bond, so to speak. Okay. The
Soul
worst thing
tie.
you can do, yeah, the worst thing you can do is create a soul tie with someone that does not have a moral compass.
Yeah, so basically for people who are watching, what that basically is that when you guys are having that intercourse and you're feeling like, oh, it's so good, it's so great in the moment, it physically is getting you off or whatever. Well, what's happening though is that in the spiritual realm, once you guys gain more insight into the spiritual realm, you guys essentially become married in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual realm. Why do I want to become spiritually married? Why do I want to become married to a woman who is probably not really there just yet? No, no, I do not, Jose. Over my dead body, will I ever become married to a woman who may not stick around with me like at all, or vice versa. Been there and done that with my ex-fiance back in my 20s. And then, by the way, even with another woman too at that time. I've had two partners, two girlfriends who I lived with at the time. Tried having kids with both of them. But look at us all now. I didn't stick around with my ex-fiance, and the other one didn't stick around either. But I became married to both of them in the spiritual realm because that's just what happened. And had I been more discipled back then, it would have never happened. But it's great because I've already been redeemed. And right now, it's just a part of my testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And I am never going to let something like that happen again because I do not want to become married to anybody if we're not going to stick around. You want to become married to somebody who is going to stick around through thick and thin until death do you guys apart, right?
Mm-hmm. Which
So
kind of
therefore,
reminds me, isn't there a prophet? I'm sorry.
no, go
Isn't there
on.
a prophet? Isn't there a prophet in the Old Testament that was married, but his wife was not faithful, but she kind of acted like an Old Testament 3 or 4.
Hosea and
Yes,
Gomer. Hosea and
yes.
the wife was Gomer. She was unfaithful. But the thing is that even the Lord brought restoration to their marriage too, even though Gomer committed adultery.
And
Yep.
actually, my understanding, and I could be wrong, the reason why God instructed Hosea to marry Gomer, so you will understand what God is experiencing, the fact that you know Judea
Mm-hmm.
uh, was actually acting like Gomer in the sense that they were committing adultery, but it was spiritual adultery, worshiping other so-called gods.
Exactly. But I will say this is that the marriage between Gomer and Hosea and Gomer, that was more of a marriage that was meant to illustrate God's relationship with Israel, who had been at first unfaithful to him. But yet you're really on something though. But at that time Israel was unfaithful to God, spiritually unfaithful, or basically spiritually adulterous through their idolatry and sexual immorality and intermarriage with pagan nations. But through Hosea's experience with Gomer, he was just demonstrating like God's enduring love and willingness to restore his people despite the spiritual adultery.
Mhm.
So that's what that marriage was about, and why Hosea was like, why God was like, Hosea, marry her anyway, despite her infidelity and the promiscuity and her even being a prostitute, do it. And you'll see why.
But I must admit to you that Hosea must have felt hurt. Hosea must have felt betrayed because his wife was unfaithful, having relations with other men. It's more like with Israel being unfaithful to God by worshiping false gods.
Exactly. Which even Isaiah and Jeremiah were always constantly warning the kings and the leaders and the people of especially the southern kingdom of Judah about what was up and about what the repercussions were for partaking in the things that are separating them from the Lord. Idolatry, vain religious worship, intermarriage. Yeah.
And in fact, Judah's sin became so great that it was, eventually they will see the consequences of their sin. Even though we read in the Bible, in the Old Testament, that Josiah, who was considered the last righteous king of Judah, actually discovered the book, what was then called the Bible, a Bible at that time, and saw how far Judah had strayed from God, and even with all his religious reforms, the fact of the matter is that Judah will still face the consequences of their idolatry. The difference
Exactly.
is that it would not happen. The downfall would not happen during the reign of Josiah.
That's right. Because also the last king of Judah before the Babylonians subjugated Jerusalem and even destroyed the temple, the last king during that time was Zedekiah.
Mhm.
But yes, prior to that, Josiah was very much a righteous leader. Absolutely. But Zedekiah was the last one before Jerusalem fell into a state of desolation and despair, which then getting tongue twisted. How do you say the word? Subsequently leads to the exile of the people of Judah. And they were in Babylonian exile for 70 years too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
and who wants to be in exile for that long? Nobody.
No.
And that's just where Ezekiel, who was also another exile too, he was then anointed as one to lead a prophetic ministry to the other Jews who were in exile. And he was even holding every one of them accountable for whatever personal sin that they had going on, which resulted in them being in the position that they were in. But thank God that even Ezekiel prophesied about redemption and hope and restoration coming about to his people, despite the state of exile that they were in either Babylon or Persia.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It looks like Princess Pink is here. So how are you? It's been a while. I've actually been fasting. Tomorrow is 40 days for me. Nice. Congratulations there, Pink. Princess Pink. Cool. Nice. I also, I do a lot of
Good
intermittent
evening,
fasting.
Princess Pink. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just curious. Would that a complete fast, or that'll be like a partial fast? Because there are different ways of fasting.
Mhm. You even have like the Daniel fasts too.
Yeah. Well, when you think of Daniel, I mean, he endured a great deal. I mean, because there was a lot of jealousy with some of the other members of the government. So much that what if I unless no if I recall the Bible, at one point they convinced I forgot the name of the king that no one should make a have a prayer petition to any man or any god other than the king himself, because and anyone that would direct a prayer or a petition to anyone other than the king, that they would be thrown in the den with lions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Daniel and the Lions. He says, I can't fast with food. I've been off of social media. I had nothing but YouTube on my phone. I've been reading and worshiping. I hear God more now than ever, and I have a great testimony coming. That's wonderful, Princess Pink. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
I was just curious. Are you the Pink that I'm already familiar with, or are you a different Pink? Please let me know. But carry on.
Okay. And also, they convinced the king to have it in the law that no
Okay.
king can.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jose. All right. If that is really you, okay, I'm not going to say, okay, no. Obviously, I know your name, but I'm not going to even say what it starts with because although it's been a while, I still respect people's privacy, especially yours, Pink. Are you
Okay.
still in Japan? Is this the Pink in Japan? Since I know that you were open about your establishment in Japan, just wanted to confirm, is this the Pink that I know? But you said it's you. But if this really is the Pink, then I would like to say it's good to see you again.
Well, if she's from Japan, I mean that's like halfway across the world. I think it's morning over there.
The next day.
My goodness. It'll be cool if actually, if someone from Japan is actually watching the stream as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Well, she said that it's her, so I'm like, this is the girl in Japan. I'm like, whoa, I was not expecting this. So, yep, you got a viewer in Japan, Jose. This is really her.
Wow.
No,
I
LOL.
mean, it's interesting. We had someone from the UK on the panel. Okay,
Oh,
another
okay. Never mind. I
person
guess
from
this is
another.
the other. This is the other. Oh, this is the other one. Okay.
Okay, well, you know what? Texas is
Yeah,
okay.
sorry. It's
There's no
just
problem.
because there's another girl who goes by the same name though, and it looks like I confused you with the other one. But yes, I do remember the Texas girl. But yes, and I do remember you uploading your results too and your pictures and how me and you are very similar in terms of our genealogy. Yep, I do. Yes. Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't really seen. Yeah. All right. If it's okay for me to say, your real name starts with a B, right? B as in Bob, but I'm just not going to say your real name. Yes. Yes. Okay. Are you? I mean, okay. Oh, okay. You even said your real name here, but yes, Bree. It's just I
Okay.
wasn't sure.
Well,
I know Bree. Yes, I do know Bree. But yeah, Bree, it's been a while since I've seen you. But yeah, Bree, I'm still very active on TikTok. It's just all dedicated to my evangelism.
hmm yes. Or as your or as the opposite would say, exploitation of sex workers.
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe Bree already has maybe some context as to what's going on. So yeah, Bree. So basically, some of my haters are going around saying that I'm harassing homeless people and that I'm targeting sex workers and all this other crazy stuff and making me out to be some type of predator out there on the streets of Las Vegas who's pretending to be a Christian and is harassing people. I'm like, uh, watch one of my videos on here of me serving my community. And let's just see those claims get horribly contradicted by my videos. And nice, Bree. It's really also cool that
Well,
wow, yeah, she even said that. Nice.
what I've said before, and yep, that's true.
I'm also writing something in the chat too that we would get persecuted for truly abiding in Him and following Him. More importantly, being surrendered to Him. There we go. But yeah, friends. But yeah, Bree. It's some of the stuff in the slander. It's hilarious though. But yeah, apparently George Orr over here is harassing homeless people, even though. Yep. Remember. Yep. He said, "Remember, the world hated him first." Yep, and that we were going to be hated too for being surrendered to him and following him. Though that's exactly what he talked about in the book of Matthew too. And yeah, so
Yes.
and then I was telling also Jose, by the way, the other day is that a couple weeks ago, this homeless woman, was in dire need of a ride though, because she felt God's love working through me and just the Lord using me to reach her. And she did, yes, ask for a ride though. And then she even said that she was really wanting to get back into the Bible herself though. But yet my haters are saying that I harassed her and all this other stuff. I'm like, no, I didn't. She asked me for a ride. I didn't tell her to, hey, come with me. No, she asked me. And yes, I gave her a ride. In fact, I've given a lot of people rides if you guys want the honest truth. They ask.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Of
Jose.
course, the latest thing that the of course the latest thing that yeah, of course the latest thing that one of the opposites said that I was a disappointment to my mom.
Oh yeah, that too.
So apparently
Yep.
This individual knew my mother better than I knew my own mom.
Yep. And Jordan said the Lord is pleased, so it doesn't matter what they say or think. Man will. Oh yeah. Except man is judging me in the most hilarious ways too, because clearly they sound very outlandish and is clearly false. So then the next thing they're going to say is that I'm kidnapping people too. All right. Okay.
Joshua, you better be careful because with your horse in the picture, they're going to think that you're trying to do something with your horse.
I would not be surprised because we already saw what happened in the Discord, right, earlier. So,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Wow.
But yeah,
like I said before,
you're more than welcome to come up here if you'd like to, but no pressure. We'll be here.
Yep, by all means. I mean, look, I mean, I do love your avatar where on one side there's a group of people say I believe in God, and then the other side, which is a large number, and then on the other side there's like a few that actually obey God.
Mm-hmm.
But
obedience truly feels good.
yes, it does.
It truly feels good, man, because when you really are surrendered like that, he actually shows you, the Lord will actually show you just how much of a slave you were to whatever it is that you had going on, though. Like when it came to me and my ex-fiance and the sexual immorality that was also taking place at the time, the Lord just revealed to me is that not only was I not belonging to him at the time, but I was just a slave to just my own lust and pride at the time, you know? But when you really like gain like self-control, a fruit of the spirit, and you actually let him renew your heart, though, you come out victorious. You truly feel that kind of joy that you weren't feeling before, though, because sin was blinding you, you know? So these people don't know what they're missing. So that's why I just pray that they will soften their hearts too and realize that their problematic personalities no longer has to be their identity, because that's just what they do. Exactly. Walking with Christ is true freedom. Obeying feels free. Yes. Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. Yep. Galatians chapter 5, that all has the characteristics of the fruit of the spirits, like gentleness, kindness, goodness, righteousness, humility, self-control,
Yes.
and then even slap on sexual purity on the mix too. I've already uploaded some videos about that already on my channel and even on TikTok. But right, Jose, am I wrong? Doesn't it feel good to be celibate until the right lady comes?
No, you're not.
Aren't you having a good time? Isn't this?
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you something.
It feels heavenly, doesn't it?
Yes,
I'm not
because
lying,
you see,
right?
the last time I'm engaged, the last time I engaged in intercourse, the last time I engaged in intercourse, one was actually married. Okay, and believe me, I had opportunities to, exercise lustful actions. I chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Same.
In fact, at one time, believe it or not, there were 3 women that expressed a desire to. How can I say this? You know the old King's English know the term know someone and know someone. It does not mean get to introduce yourself, but know someone, like engage in intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's a powerful testimony.
Yep, and I'm also writing something to her in the chat too.
Okay.
There we go. That's what I wrote. That is actually a fact right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
You know,
actually had friends who were like that too,
yes.
and I'm like, boy, I love them so much. But like I wrote in the comments to Bree, uh, they tie their traumas to their identities. You're not born that way because I grew up in Berkeley, California, the San Francisco Bay Area, where me and my dad and my brother grew up in were Berkeley, Oakland, and Richmond, California. You had plenty of people like that. All of them will tell you that at some point in their lifetime they were, you know what? They were. If they're gonna, and guess what? And
Yes.
one that friend that I knew from childhood, and I can't believe it though, but despite everything that I'm saying, he still is friends with me on Facebook. But guess what? He transitioned, if you know what I mean. And he told me what his brother did to him. And I'm that's all I'm gonna say. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And now he transitioned. And now he's taking
Yes.
hormones and all that stuff. And I'm surprised he's still friends with me. I still love him as my friend because I've known him since we were little kids. But yeah, he told me about what happened. But guess what? All of them are going to tell you about what really went down. And trauma is a super duper easy way for demons to gain footholds into your life.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that with love. And that community is packed with it.
Yeah. I mean, look, the fact that I've said this before, hurt people hurt people. Now, this is an interesting point. Deliverance needed. It's also a spiritual, okay, spirit. There's so much comes out. It should, oh, and I really help people as much as I can. You know what? That's a powerful testimony right there. Giorgio, are you there?
Oops. I was actually talking though, but it looks like I accidentally turned off my mic. My bad.
Yeah.
So she says, I also thought I was celibate. I thought I'd live like Paul, but the Lord revealed to me that I am actually going to be married and that I have a husband. Nice. Yeah. So even when it comes to me, Bree, is that the desire for marriage is still imprinted onto my heart. I know that at some point my kingdom spouse is going to come. It's just at the moment, I'm just not
Mhm.
prioritizing that desire just because of where he has me in. But let's just say, if like the right woman comes around and we date only, we don't cross that line and we just date like that. And if we actually turn out to be like suitable in that case and to where we work together and we go through premarital counseling, then heck yeah. But whoever she is, I don't know. But I'll be waiting patiently. But I'll still continue to do what I'm doing though. But if she wants to join me, then for sure. She said, I'm shocked. I didn't want marriage. I didn't desire it really. I'm surprised he even told me that. It's amazing about what the Lord will reveal to us so when we lean on his understanding. But yeah, sister, I get you on that. But me, I honestly want to be married, and he knows my desires. He knows that. But he told me, so look, the Lord's going to give us three answers: yes, no, or yes, but wait. In my case, it's option three: yes,
Mhm.
but wait.
Mhm.
But yes, She is also right, Jose, in regard to how a lot of us are called to live like Paul, Elijah, and Jeremiah, because Paul and Elijah and Jeremiah, like they were all called to live for the Lord. Like,
Yeah,
but no,
that is
that's
true.
not going to be for me. But no, I'm not. I'm not at all
Now,
called by
one
that.
thing that okay,
What's up?
but one thing like in Catholicism, we have a thing that's called pre-cana, and what that is that that's basically like counseling that a couple will receive before they get married, and it deals with a lot of issues. One of them is the raising of children, also natural um, um, for a Catholic couple to marry, they have to undergo pre-cana. That's mandatory.
Hmm. To fulfill the sacrament of marriage.
Yes, because in Catholicism we don't have divorce, we have an annulment,
Hmm.
which is kind of like it's kind of like a it's kind of like a divorce, but it's not really a divorce, um, because we are taught marriage is to be it's something that's that lasts a lot, that should last a lifetime, which is why you should properly vet someone before you actually tie the knot.
Yeah. Because also there are times where people end up getting married to somebody who was only meant to be a good brother or sister to you. That does happen. You end up marrying the wrong person, though. That's
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah,
I agree.
let him choose, or better yet, let him be your
Is there
own.
any? Yeah. Is there any? Yeah.
Is there what?
Is there anything that you would like for us to discuss? Is there any
Oh, this is
topic
a
that you
good.
would like for us to discuss?
Oh, this is a great topic already, though. Unless you two would like to discuss something, I'm having fun already now. Like some of the ladies on the street saying, "Do you want a good time?" Well, I'm actually having a very fantastic time just plunging myself into godliness and righteousness. This is an exceptionally good time for me.
Yes.
And thank you,
But
Jose, for
but you
saying
know what
that.
the problem is?
What?
Mhm. But you know what the problem is? That now we're living in a time of age that in order to have a good time, that have to like indulge in carnal loss. You can have a good time and it could be a wholesome good time.
I'm having a good time in, I guess, celibacy, or better yet, abstinence.
Okay, let's see. I clicked on being curious and felt happy that you are speaking about Christ since I am 39 days in my fast. I only been immersed with the Lord, so this is so nice. Well, actually, look, we're both believers, and this is not specifically a Christian uh, channel. It's what it's just basically it's a secular channel, but but the host is Christian. So I'm
Speaking
sorry.
about the fast, actually, I could talk a little bit about fasting. So I fast. I do like intermittent fasting. I know it's going to be a bit different than the kind of fasting that you are doing, Bree. But I fast every single day for a good 13 to 16 hours. By the way, it's very refreshing spiritually, and then even physically, it helps my body go into a state of autophagy, which means that it's recycling all the dead cells and dead proteins and replenishes all of that stuff. So I do that. And even on the side note, it helped me lose a lot of weight too, because by that time, your body is depending on your unwanted fat for energy. So I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
that. I definitely leaned out, buffing up too, but it's all for God's glory though, because when it comes to lean muscle tissue, abs, those are God's aesthetics,
Mm-hmm.
and I pay it all to Him.
Amen.
Because in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 to
Amen.
19 to
And to
20,
that.
what's up? Wait, what?
Considering that this is so-called Pride Month, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. We already know that happens to be somebody's month right now. You know what I mean?
Oh yes. We're not going to say who, but we know.
Yes. There we go.
But
So that means you're healthy physically and spiritually. Yes, and also in like 1 Corinthians chapter 6 to 19 to 20, as I was about to say, it does talk about how our bodies are not our own, and that we were bought at a price, and that we should honor the Lord with our bodies. So that's why I do intermittent fasting every single day for a good 13 to
yes,
16 hours. We can do it. Hey, Irby.
yes. Yeah, good evening, Irby. So this is
I think you're breaking up, Jose, by the way. Jose, you are breaking up, buddy. Oh, wow. Looks like I'm up here too. So until Jose returns, I guess I'll take over the Uncommon Sense show. Hey, welcome back.
yes.
I was
Uh
telling you that I was taking over the Uncommon Sense show.
yeah. But look, but the fact that but it's very interesting how the world look at things and perceive things and how we look at it, which is a complete opposite.
Go on.
Okay. So but one thing, we are in this world, but we're not of this world. Okay.
Yes.
So
You
so
live
of
in the
course we're
world,
not
you're not of it.
exactly. So we're not called to about to live according to the world sees fit. We're called to live our lives as written in God's word. But
Because you know what Romans. Huh?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As we know what Romans chapter 12, the verse 2 talks about, right?
No, I have to admit I'm not all that well versed, but I think it talks about how we are not to conform to the world, but let God renew us or transform us. I'm not sure that is the case.
That actually is. Nice job, Jose. Nice. It says, Paul said, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of one's mind. Let's see, what does Bree say here? I had to heal a lot from things I've gone through regarding race. I was too focused on physical identity. None of that stuff matters. Divides more than anything. And and Bree, I even made a video response, like on my channel here. And I was basically saying is that people's racial identity in this world is not going to come with them whether they're going to be going to heaven or hell. It's not coming with them at all. Now, although, I'm proud to be the West Coast Louisiana Creole, coming from grandparents who were born in New Orleans, by the way, and my other grandmother was born in Alabama, and she was actually an Alabama Creole, which are a thing. At the end of the day, it's not coming with us at all. And what I also wrote on here as my way to also pay respect to my ancestors is that I would like to continue in their footsteps when it comes to practicing abstinence, being family oriented, and even getting married to the right woman this time, though, because the Louisiana Creoles have a rich history of being abstinent, by the way, being godly, and being marriage-minded only with the right suitable partners. That is a part of Louisiana Creole history. That's what the Cane River Creoles were along the Cane River, and that's what a lot of the New Orleans Creoles were like. So I think I am already honoring my ancestors more than enough because I'm continuing that. And I can actually speak a little bit of the Corrivini, in other words, the French Creole language. Croisset ton nom, bonsoir, bonsuit, bon matin, mopagencha. See, there you go. I can actually speak a little bit of the extinct language. So there you go. But I'll talk about race here and there every once in a while, but it's like a side hobby, though.
Yeah. How do you respond to the statement that Irby made? I didn't know they got Creoles in Alabama. It was in Louisiana, Texas, and California.
Yeah, like Irby, like I've shared like a picture of my grandmother like twice. I mean, not twice, but multiple times. And yeah, there were Creoles in Alabama. They were called the Alabama Creoles. And much like the Louisiana Creoles, they were often a triracial group, mainly of the Afro-Euro Native mix. And if you saw my grandmother, you would see that. And hey, yeah, good night, Bree. It's good seeing you again, though. And yeah,
Yeah, good night. Good night. Thank you very much for stopping by. But yeah. Unless I'm mistaken, I believe Lady Creole actually spoke about similar topics on her channel.
Yes. When me and her spoke, she was making it pretty clear that, she feels the same way. That, she feels like just some people were just putting too much of a priority on our fleshly identity rather than the identities that goes beyond our fleshly identity of race,
Yes.
Yeah, because even in this circle, that's why if you see me write on my community tabs in regards to how I do not want to hear any of your guys' crap. If you guys see me getting married to a Latina or whoever comes first,
that's going to be a kingdom spouse. And technically speaking, she is going to be the quote unquote right skin color. And that's even what Creole Lady said.
Yeah. I think in one of her videos she spoke about her about why she does not partake in Mardi Gras because it's kind of like
Mardi Gras.
so you're gonna prepare for Lent by doing a whole heavy unhealthy amount of sinning. That does not make any sense.
Debauchery, basically, is what they call it. That doesn't make any sense, though, because it means that you're doing all that stuff in vain.
Yeah, and and they talk about like I'm going to give up chocolate for Lent. I'm going to give up smoking for Lent. I'm going to give up alcohol for Lent. Look, when it comes to Lent, I use that time as a time of self-reflection, as a time of examination, of a time of renewal. I'm not thinking about, well, I'm going to give up this habit. I'm going to give up this habit for 40 days, and then once Lent is over, I'm going to go back and do the same thing all over again.
Yeah, I don't like that. Then that means nothing, though. It's that you're basically being mechanical about it, though. And that was actually like the same case even in the Bible, where even those like Isaiah and Jeremiah and even Malachi noticed how people were just partaking in just very mechanical, meaningless religious practices too. That's no
Yes.
different than people going to Mardi Gras to indulge and not have much meaning behind what they're doing. It's basically hedonism.
Yep. Or like carnival, like in some countries,
That
which
too.
is basically the same thing.
Now, for people who may ask me, like, well, hey, George, or well, what about if you get with a woman who may not really understand maybe your experiences or culture or whatever? All right, I'll say this. If I were to get with like another version of Princess Pink or Creole Lady, sure, it may be a plus because those are women who happen to have a very, very similar fleshly identity as me. And I for sure have a story and have gone through some stuff too based on this temporal identity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those girls would clearly be able to relate though. And then plus Princess Pink, I've already seen her results and I'm just like, dang, this girl is like me. And same with Creole Lady, let alone Creole Lady is probably even more Louisiana Creole than me, given the fact that she was actually born in New Orleans. And meanwhile, my people immigrated to places like Los Angeles and the Bay Area, which makes me more of that West Coast Creole, though. Well, obviously, no. Either way, me and her are still Creole no matter what, though. It's just probably she's just more in tune with the culture, given the fact that she was actually born and raised in New Orleans, whereas I was born and being raised in places like Berkeley, Oakland, and Richmond, California. So it does become a bit different, though. But yes, I'm pretty sure Creole Lady would be able to understand it. But needless to say, I would rather get like a kingdom spouse who may not really understand the fleshly identity, but yet she is so surrendered and abiding to the Lord, than with a woman who may understand my background and all that stuff, but yet she doesn't have the Lord.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I'd rather get with probably like one of your women who may not really quite fully get the whole quote unquote West Coast mixed race Creole experience, but yet she has the Lord. I'd rather take her over a girl who may understand the fleshly aspect of race and experience, but again, she doesn't know God. So this is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people on here that I can talk about, and then like a bunch of people I can talk about on here. They can tell me though that yes, they totally understand that they totally understand when people say stuff like, "Oh, what are you? What are you? Hey, are you this? Are you that?" Dude, man, I've been getting that question for my entire life, by the way. But probably your girl, a girl like from your group, bro, maybe she may not really quite understand that. But if she understands the Lord, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
I'm not race first. I never will be. I used to be,
Mhm.
been there, done that. But being race first is stupid, to be quite honest. That'll drive you to hell. That'll lead you there.
Mhm. True. That is very true.
Don't be
But,
race first because it'll bring you to the flames. I don't want to do that. So nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Much like how you said that you're not going to have Zacharias become your roommate. I'm not going to become race first. You can
Well,
beg,
look,
you can beg
look,
me.
let me tell you something. I don't wish ill on Zacharias.
I'm just joking, man.
But
You know what I mean, man.
I mean, look, I wouldn't look if I don't even want him on my platform. What makes you think I want him living under my roof?
That was a joke, Jose, because we know how
I
you
know.
feel and everything, but becoming roommates, even living with him for a week, though, you won't even do that, not even for $100,000. So since you're not going to do that, I'm not going to be race first for $100,000 either. I'm like, nope.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Irby says,
Yep.
just because somebody shared same skin tone doesn't mean we have the same mindset. Not all skin folk is kinfolk. Yep, that's right, Irby. That is right.
Yeah. That's right. Well,
I don't go by
um,
race, by character.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, we do have certain individuals in the Latino sector that focus in on race and things of that nature, and then they have their belief called "mejorando la raza," improving the race.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see
So,
what's interesting.
as a matter of fact,
But
if you
you
look,
know, yeah. But you know, again, we have to bear in mind, hurt people. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people that have a lot of um, trauma that has never been addressed.
and unresolved trauma and unresolved issues are only going to grow on steroids. Do we want that?
Nope, nope. Well, is there anything else you want to discuss? Because it is getting kind of late. I mean,
It's a good question, though. Like, do you have any closing
okay.
closing statements?
Well, I think at this point we start taking closing remarks. So, being that you're here, I'll let you go first.
You can't pay me $1 million to be race first. I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. People who put their race first over God, you're in a dangerous zone if you do that. And two, stay surrendered, stay abiding in the Lord, and live out your purpose no matter what the haters or the quote unquote ops have to say. Keep doing you and you will persevere.
I would say, everything is said and done, be true to yourself. The fact of the matter is, don't. I mean, you can have some pride of who you are as far as your ethnicity. It should not become an idol. One thing we need to be more prideful, to be proud of, is who we are in God's sight. That's what's important. Of course, a huge shout out to everyone in the chat, and thank you very much, Jojo, for stopping by. I'm gonna be on live Sunday night at 7:15 your time, talking about narcissism. And I have a feeling that some people are going to get a little bit insulted.
Most likely.
Okay. Even though I'm not mentioning anybody, but unfortunately, you know, hurt people hurt people.
Mhm.
Okay. But in any case, thank you very much, Joy, for stopping by. And of course, we're going to close the same way that we always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we'll be infected by the stupidity and massive insanity. This has
Amen.
been us. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's what I said. Amen.
Yeah. And of course, this has been a slightly later version of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron saying good night, enjoy your weekend, and just be true to yourself